You know, a dear friend, Reverend Janet, shared a poem with me this week. She didn't read it to me, but she said it really was apropos for this time. And it comes from the book, which is very apropos for this time, too, To Bless the Space Between Us by John O'Donohue. And it's called Interim Time. And the poem itself is quite long. However, I condensed it because I think it's very, very important for us in our journeys right now and where we stand. I know it's hard right now, this third week of staying at home and social distancing, and we have to be very careful right now. But these words are very important. This is an excerpt from Interim Time. The path you took to get here has washed out. The way forward is still concealed from you. You cannot lay claim to anything. In this place of dusk, your eyes are blurred, and there is no mirror. The more faithfully you can endure here, the more faithfully you can endure here, the more refined your heart will become for your arrival in the new dawn. Just as that river has a destiny, this journey right now has a destiny and a purpose too. We've been given some interim time, some time that we might sharpen our spiritual tools, that we might become more spiritually awake and aware and do some healing. Now is the time to do that. We've been given that right now. You know, God's love is ever present, infinitely, eternally, all the time. I want to tell you something. It's a little different than the love you and I feel. I'm sure you say, oh, well, you know, I'm such a loving person. Are any of you feeling that way? You know, I'm such a loving person, but this is a different kind of love. I want to tell you about, when we talk about God's love, this is something we're aspiring to. We're working towards our oneness with this kind of love. God's love is indiscriminate. If you think of a rose, like I mentioned earlier, it gives its beauty to all alike. It doesn't say, oh, you know, you're nicer, so I'm going to give you more of my beauty. Oh, you haven't been too nice today, so I'm just going to withhold my gift because do you deserve it? It's like the tree gives its shade to whoever wants it. And when you turn on the light in the room, the lamp shares it with everyone who enters. That is the quality of this indiscriminate love that God is. God's love is gratuitous. It just gives, like the rose and the tree and the lamp. It just gives of itself, expecting nothing in return. It doesn't matter how much you have or what you have to give. God's love is there for each and every one of us equally. It is unconditional. It only knows to give. Now, we as human beings have conditional love. That's what we've learned, that's what we know. And we're to break out of that conditional love into a place. And it's hard. It's really hard sometimes to love everybody. Even in painful situations, it's an opportunity for us to learn that any painful situation, let me even hone that down a little more, which you might not like, but painful situations or painful people are there for us. There are teachers. We have to ask ourselves, what are we learning right now? This is a scary time. What are we learning that we can be and hone the skills of who we are meant to be? Who we're meant to be. We are the ones we've been waiting for, but we have to get ourselves in the right state of mind, state of heart, to be those people. Now, when we talk about sharpening our spiritual tools, let's think about it. It's about a new way of doing life, relationships, a new way. First of all, we have to work on ourselves. I don't know about you, but But I find during this time of spending a lot more time alone or in close quarters, I find a lot of my old issues are coming up. Stuff I thought I'd already worked on. They're coming up and old feelings just flooding in and out. I have to learn how to use my emotions and feelings to work for me and not to hurt me or anyone else. You know, it was 340 BC that Aristotle wrote the Nicomachean Ethics. I think that's pronounced correctly. And here's what he said. He said, anyone can become angry. Right? Anyone can become angry. That's easy. But to be angry with the right people, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, in the right way, that's not so easy. So let's see, we've been working on that for 2,300 years. How are you doing? How is your anger level in all of this? I mean, what can you do? How can you use that? Hone it to be modified to work for you and for others. So that's one thing. We got our own issues to work with. And then, you know, those of you that are living in relationship with other people, you find that tight quarters can bring up a lot of stuff too. It's like our rough edges rub against each other. And as my dear friend Rumi said, if you get irritated by every little rub, how is your mirror, your light, going to become polished? You know, we have to really look at what's irritating us and why and how important is it and what do we need to let go of or speak our truth about. It's an opportunity for us to really become our best and better selves. I have this little book, and it's called the One Minute Wisdom, and it's by Anthony DeMello. And I love to just pick it up because there are these little tiny quotes, and I love this one. It was about love, and it said, a newly married couple asked the master, how can we make our love endure? And the master said, find something to love together. Find something outside of yourselves to love together. And I thought how much pressure we put on other people to make us happy, and how much we could love something beautiful in nature, or a fun experience, or something glorious that gets us out of ourselves into something more. Doesn't that sound delicious? Something that we could love together. You know, this being Palm Sunday, which is the Sunday preceding Easter, it's an interesting time if we take the metaphysical journey here. It was a time when Jesus entered into Jerusalem for the Jewish festival of Passover. And he entered in, he was riding a donkey in his humble nature, yet the streets were lined with people celebrating him. They were so excited. They were waving palm leaves, and they were throwing their clothes in the street, and they were saying, Hosanna, which means save us. Messiah, save us. He was celebrated, he was loved, and things certainly changed by the end of the week. Kind of like the journey we're in. Life is going on in one way, and all of a sudden the changes that can happen surprise us immensely. Well, Ernest Holmes really refers to Jesus, although he is a synthesizer of all faiths and religions and masters and mystics and teachers. He really looks at Jesus as the master teacher, the greatest awakened spiritual being that there's ever been, because he so knew his oneness with God's love. So here it is, the end of the week, after he's been celebrated in. It's Passover. And his few followers he brings together for the Last Supper, for a Passover meal. It's his time of great teaching. He knew he didn't have much longer in this physical existence. He knew he wasn't going to be with his disciples much longer. And he had this time to be this great example, to teach them how to live in this world, in that place of oneness with God. And at that dinner, he washed their feet. What a humble, loving experience to do that for his disciples. And he told them to love one another. Love one another, because he knew that was the way not only to expand God's love in our life, but to share it with other people. And he said, peace be with you. May my peace be with you. He said, you will never be alone, because what he knew is there was a comforter. And the comforter was that place in us, that wise place in us, that is the divine wisdom, the divine nature within us that is ever present. And he knew that that would be with them no matter what. You know, in the first letter of John in the Bible, John, a disciple of Jesus, says, he said, if we love one another, God lives in us. That's the way we show God's love. You know, I talked about that God gives love equally to everyone alike, but why do some people feel it and some don't? Why do some people have more of that loving feeling and some don't? It's because of our receptivity to us. That love is always wanting to express to us. That beauty is always wanting to express to us. That creativity is always wanting to express to us, but we have to be open and available to it. So John said, if we love one another, God lives in us, and God's love is perfected in us. Jesus said to his disciples, I am the example. I want you to do what I have taught, what I have done, how I've lived. How good of an example are we being in this world today? You know, the Dalai Lama, a beautiful spiritual teacher, is saying, if we want to leave a better world for our grandchildren, we have to do it now. We can no longer live in a consciousness of, regret. Oh, I could have done it better. I wish I'd done it better. I wish I'd done something differently. No, we can't live in the regrets anymore. We have to live in the possibility. And he said, the Dalai Lama said, we need to move from a consciousness of me, whether it's all about me, it's all for me, it's all this, or, I regret. He said, we have to move from a consciousness of separation to wholeness, from a consciousness of I to we. It's just like when we do our prayers, we start learning to say prayers for ourselves. We want a parking place. We want something for this. We want something. But the expanded prayer is always not wanting for ourselves, but wanting this goodness for everyone alike. I talked earlier about counting our blessings as it's just an easy way to open our heart and feel the love of God in our lives. I want you to think for a minute right now, what's a simple thing in this moment? Just a simple thing you can count your blessing for. What is it right now? I feel blessed because I see the rain. I see the beauty of nature. I feel the love of family. I'm having some time to write or create or do something beautiful right now. What is it right now to count your blessings for? I want you to take time and just feel that and open your heart to something more. You know, during my roughest times, I always know I'm never alone. I lean on the angels for comfort. I know the angels are always there around us. They're little messengers of God, little light beings, little spiritual packets of love and goodness. And they're just waiting for our invitation to bring us peace. Peace, I call on you right now to flow forth from me. Love, I call on you right now to flow forth from me. Love, I call on you right now to flow forth from me. The angels are always there, so we're never alone. So when Jesus said you're never alone, there's that divine wisdom within you. We're supported within and without. You know, the beautiful American poet Mary Oliver, she passed last year. She's a beautiful poet who saw in nature, saw God expressing in nature in so many wonderful ways. She has a poem called Angels, And she said, you might see an angel anytime and anywhere. Anytime and anywhere. Of course, you have to open your eyes to a kind of second level. But it's not really that hard. The whole business of what's reality and what isn't has never been solved, and it probably never will be. So I don't care to be too definite about things. I have a lot of edges called perhaps, and almost nothing you can call certainty. This is for myself, not for other people. That's a place you just can't get into, not entirely anyway, into other people's heads. I'll just leave you with this. I don't care how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. It's enough to know that for some people, they exist and they can dance. I would say at this time when we're spending more time, in solitude, more time with reflection, that we take some time to dance with the angels that are all around us, to be playful, to count our blessings, to stretch our edges from certainty to perhaps, and see what we find at those edges. Well, I know this. Well, perhaps there's something more. This is a time to be stretched, to let go of that river that we hold on to, the river of certainty. Well, I've always done it this way, so I know how to do it, so I'm going to stay here and let go. I wonder who we'll meet in the river of possibility. Rumi, my dear Sufi mystic friend, said, love is a river. I would say an infinite, eternal river. Drink from it. Well, let's drink from it, let's swim in it, let's celebrate in it, let's join together and be in that river of life together. We have our beautiful ministers and practitioners calling our congregants to make sure everyone's okay, just to check in. And every week there's a different affirmation that we can all be saying together. And by the way, if you're not on that list, if you haven't gotten called, leave a message at our office and we will get you on that list. We want everyone just to check in. You can answer the phone or not. We just want people to know they're loved and to know this special affirmation. This week's affirmation is, the Spirit within me is alive, awake, and aware. All is well. I invite you to use that energy of the Spirit within being alive, awake, and aware as we move through this week before Easter, to feel that we're really being transformed into something more, something greater, a consciousness that accepts miracles, the consciousness, perhaps there's something more out there that's to express through me, something creative, something loving, some light to be shared. It's up to us. Ernest Holmes said that love is the grandest, greatest healing power ever. Love heals. It changes things. It's the center of everything. It's for you and I to enter into that knowing now, to embrace it and to feel it and to say, thank you, God, that I am the vessel, the vehicle, the expression of this love on the planet right now. Right here and right now. And I'm going to close today with the original reading I had instead of a prayer. From Ernest Holmes. Now, Ernest Holmes had this quote he said, if anyone knows about the love that is all-embracing, that love that is all-embracing, that's God's love that I spoke about in the beginning, they would have their arms around everyone in the world. And this is a reading from 365 Days of Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. He said, I believe love is at the center of everything. Please feel that with me. Feel that as we share that love, as we feel it expanded in us. Therefore, I accept love as the healing power of life. I permit love to reach out from me to every person I think of. This says me, but we'll say every person I think of. And I believe that love is returned to me. I trust the guidance of love because it is truly the power of the good in power of good in the universe. I feel that love flowing through me to heal every situation I meet, to help every person I know. Love opens the way before me and makes it perfect, straight, and glad. Love forgives anything and love forgives everything unlike itself. It purifies everything. It converts strength. It converts weakness into strength, fear into faith, and it changes everything for the better. Just know with me in this moment, as we take this time right here and right now to accept those words and to share that truth, that purity, that honesty of God's love as we share it right now out into this community. And instead of meeting and greeting and hugging as we usually do, we send the vibrational energy of love and light and healing, the love and light of gratitude. As in our blessings, we count every person in this community, and we say, thank you, thank you, thank you. We have someone right here, right now, and always to lean on, to be there for us. How good it is. We say, thank you, God. And so it is. I love you all. God bless you.